It's for the Open, and their lyrics ring true. We're waiting for the stars to realign. Unfortunately, the pandemic has gotten in the way. Austin Matthews will play tonight. Connor McDavid will not, as he's in COVID protocols. And perhaps Ken Holland's asking if Paul Coffey can be a late addition to the Oilers lineup. As Dave Tippett, he has had to do some reorganizing as 3 players are in COVID protocol, including his captain. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. It's good to see you again. Happy New Year. I'm Carolyn Cameron, and yes, the news just gets worse for the Edmonton Oilers, who have won just 2 of their last 12 games. And tonight they're in tough against the Toronto Maple Leafs to get a set. Let's go to Scotiabank Arena, and that's where we find Kyle Bukauskas.
Yeah, Carolyn, you said it, and Canadian Artists Classified it might say the Oilers have been waiting on some good news, and they did not get it with regards to their lineup here tonight. You mentioned McDavid as well, Tyson Barrie and Derek Ryan, all in COVID protocol, so no hometown game for the Oilers captain, no Paul Coffey or Wayne Gretzky coming to save them here tonight. There was a time when the Gardens was packed with members of the Gretzky fan club whenever the Brantford native came to Toronto. He believes the best game he ever played was right here in this city, and for players from Ontario that come to this building on the road, it was Gretzky who said there's so much that goes with playing in Toronto that you want to, when you come here, play as good as you can play. A little different, of course, with no crowd tonight, but for local boy Zach Hyman playing his first game back, Darnell Nurse of Hamilton, Evan Bouchard of Oakville, or Mike Smith from Kingston, who's getting the start tonight, will one of them be difference makers in this one. It will be them staring down Austin Matthews and the Leafs, who is admittedly feeling fresh after the false positive earlier this week. He put up 2 the last time he saw the Oilers in December, as the Maple Leafs try to keep their good news rolling here tonight. Carolyn?
Kyle, thanks very much as we welcome in the birthday boy, Anthony Stewart, and Jennifer Botterill. And Stewie, we obviously then have to start with you. The Oilers, they've lost 4 in a row, the latest coming Monday night in New York, and you didn't like the effort.
Yeah, I think one of the microcosms of their recent slide is their team fight or lack thereof. And you look at their game the other night against the New York Rangers, and they essentially got ran out of the building. Hits were 29-12, and it started off with Draisaitl early on in the game getting ran by Reeves there. No response. And this is not about fighting, but you need to get in there and show that you're in the fight. Ryan getting hammered. I think Cuckoo's coming up next too. But this is Connor McDavid, best player in the world. No one in there showing their support. You got Reeves laughing on the bench. So I know Cassian's coming back tonight. Maybe he can add a bit of a spark, but you have to have that team mentality where when things are going bad, we got to do something, and I think it starts in the physicality department. And
Jen, it's the cliche, but it's true. You have to start on time.
Well, you do. And Stewie's talking about how important it is to be physically strong. But you're right, Carol, and that's another approach to say, as a hockey team, of course, you want to have a great start to the game. But this is especially true for the Edmonton Oilers. And if you look at their season, if they're leading after the first period, 10-0-0. When they're tied after the first period, even 8-1-0. And then when they're trailing after the first period, look at this, 0-12-2. So it's very clear that this is a team that needs to find a way to have a better first 20 minutes.
And do that without McDavid. Luckily, though, Jen, for the Leafs, Matthews is in.
Yes, great news for Toronto. That a little scare with a false positive. But Austin Matthews, he was the December Star of the Month for the NHL, and he has been dominant in showcasing his goal-scoring ability. And for him, he's so accurate with his shot, a great release, just one touch burying it. He's so fun to see him when he's playing at his best. And he has 13 goals in his last 11 games, and you know that the Leafs are thrilled to have him in the lineup tonight.
And Stewie, out of the lineup is Andre Kasha, out with a non-COVID related injury, so in comes Nick Ritchie for the first time since December.
Yeah, Nick Ritchie draws back into the lineup after getting scratched, and Sheldon Keefe said, hey, it was a difficult decision. He's playing great, and I'm sure he's not having the season that he wanted to have, but this is what he needs to do. He needs to play physical. I go back to my days in Florida where Coach Jacques Martin would pull me aside. He said, Stewie, what would Gary Roberts do in this situation? Would he toe drag, or would he chip the puck in, finish, go to the net hard? So this is what he needs to do. He only has 1 goal this year, but for this team, he needs to play physical, wait for his opportunities like he does here, and tap it in. But for this team, keep it simple and get to the net.
And Jack Campbell coming off of the 6-0 shutout on Saturday night against the Ottawa Senators as the Leafs and Oilers get ready to battle. And actually, Hyman and Marner tonight, they will be mic'd up, and I hear we already have a preview. And if you're an animal lover, a pet lover, specifically a dog lover, I think you'll really appreciate what we're already hearing.
My dog just buzzed, baby. Come on now. Come on, my dogs. Come on, Schmidt. There you go, Schmidt, dog. There you go. Bogey. Let's go, buddy. Oh, yeah, footsie! Oh, yeah!
I like the preview, eh? Pretty good. Okay, it's Matthews and the Leafs coming up against the short-handed Edmonton Oilers, who look to snap a 4-game losing streak as they finish off this 5-game road trip on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey.
The Oilers, but without Connor McDavid, and the Maple Leafs, who will have Austin Matthews after a false positive test 2 days ago. Edmonton and Toronto face off for the second time in just over 3 weeks. With Mikko Koskinen in the eye of the current Oilers storm, there's Mike Smith, who makes his 6th start of the season, his 3rd since being out for over 2 months with an ankle injury. And at the other end, it's Jack Campbell, who comes off a 23-save shutout against Ottawa Saturday. He made 35 stops in a victory over the Oilers in Edmonton last month. And there's Zach Hyman making his first appearance back in Toronto after 6 years as a Maple Leaf. He'll ride shotgun on a line with Ryan McLeod to start tonight, and Craig will see some different Oiler combinations in the absence of some players.
Yeah, not much of a choice for Dave Tippett with 3 of his top centermen out, and you saw to begin with here, it's Ryan McLeod who Sheldon Keefe chooses Matthew to go up against. That'll be a real task for him. His 33rd game in the National Hockey League, and a really big assignment on a huge game.
Former Mississauga Steelhead, interesting watching the warm-up because he was going full tilt. Not everybody does in the warm-up. Austin Matthews had a pair of goals in the first meeting of the year between these two teams. Did not score on Saturday night against the Ottawa Senators. Here's Bunting taking it away from Bouchard, sending it around. There's the first star. It skipped over the stick of T.J. Brody, who was a dominant force on Saturday. Here's Mitch Marner in the Oilers zone, and Marner holds on, threw it in front, and that's picked off, and back comes McLeod. He's got Hyman with him over the line along with Puljujarvi, and a centering play by Hyman off the stick. Puljujarvi can't clear off of Matthews, and it bounced out to center ice. There is Duncan Keith hitting Puljujarvi, who had a step, and Campbell got a stick on that to redirect it to the corner as Puljujarvi crashes into the Leaf net. Out comes John Tavares, who played his 900th game on Saturday. Swept around by Smith. Muzzin back in the lineup, but a tip in front by Tavares. As Jake Muzzin draws back in after coming off COVID protocol and did not skate for 13 days. Came back the day before the Saturday outing, but was deemed not ready to go, and Nylander fired that shot wide. He had a pair on Saturday. Leon Draisaitl through center. Here's the leading goal scorer in the NHL. Spinning off Dermott, throwing it across. Slater Cuckoo fires right on, and Campbell's got that.
Well, the first 2 chances of the game go to the Edmonton Oilers, and one off a quick turnover. Nice little transition play as the puck's in the neutral zone. Good change and a little bit of a division there between the 2 defensemen. Marner trying to take a hold of Puljujarvi, and then Cuckoo coming in alone. This is just shooter against goalie, and that's an easy save there as Campbell came out, challenged Cuckoo, and unable to get anything past him.
Well, face-off in the Leaf zone. Devon Shore on the draw against David Kemp, who prevails for the Leafs, who rank number 1 in face-off percentage in the league at 55.3. Here's Ilya Mikheyev, and now Camp swatting that towards Mike Smith. On the far side, it'll get dumped out to center by Tyler Benson, who had a robust game against the New York Rangers in the Oilers' last outing. Camp comes up with it. Mikheyev breaking on the left side, and there's Rasmus Sandin along with him. Ilya Mikheyev can't sift that pass through and hit Benson. And out comes Edmonton with Shore down that left flank, trying to sidestep Morgan Riley. Pierre Engvall has the puck, and the Leafs' 4th line comes on. So everybody into the game Saturday, that was an issue, as there were a couple of early power plays that really disrupted the flow as the Leafs tried to get back into the swing of things after a couple weeks off.
I think both coaches would be happy to get all four lines getting themselves well into the game, and you don't want to disrupt your bench. And especially Dave Tippett at the other end, you know, not as many options there to be juggling lines.
And here's Brendan Perlini on the fourth line for Edmonton as it slides in on Jack Campbell.
Well, you mentioned the game on Saturday, and Sheldon Keefe said it was much like an exhibition game, and it kind of did feel like it. Such a long time off for his team. As he mentioned, so many guys. You mentioned 13 days for Jake Muzzin. That's not an easy task for a big body like that. There are some guys who can jump right back in and be fleet of foot, and I think the time off was maybe going to be a benefit in the long run, but in the short haul, it was difficult to get the engine revved back up again.
There's a face-off win for the Oilers. Duncan Keith plays it around behind the net, and Leon Draisaitl on that. 15 road goals for Draisaitl among his 25 so far this season. Hall bumps it to Marner, who takes a hit but gets it to Matthews. And now Muzzin, who was terrific in the game against Edmonton, his last start with 4 shots, 3 hits, 2 blocked shots.
Well, you think of, if you're the Leafs now, you got to focus on the one guy, and it's don't let Leon Draisaitl be the guy to give the Edmonton Oilers, a team that's been struggling to score goals, any kind of a spark. He plays 22-50 a game. You know he's going to get tough assignments, so every single time you're out against him, make those shifts difficult ones for him. Doesn't have 97 to ride with tonight.
Draisaitl with Yamamoto and full goal to start this night, and there's Kyler Yamamoto chipping it in on the backhand and chasing after it against Justin Hall. Yamamoto came up with it, and that puck bounced in front. Wasn't on it. Ceci stands up on him, and it's played out to center. Bunting takes it away from Draisaitl. Justin Hall with the first goal of 2022 for Toronto. Up ahead for Bunting. The Leafs changing in behind. Keith trying to track it down. It slides for Tavares. Looking for Kerfoot, who had 3 assists on Saturday. That shot wide of the target. Tavares after it along with Nylander. Knocked off the stick of Draisaitl. Nylander's got it. Shoots it. Fired wide. Rebound. Scores. John Tavares off that backboard bounce. And the Leafs have the lead. And another first goal surrendered by the Oilers.
And another fluky play off the backboard. This might even be a Nylander goal, as I thought it went off the foot of Smith, but it's the forecheck by Nylander. You see a good stick there by Kerfoot. Watch this shot as it goes off the backboard, comes back, and yeah, right off the right foot of Smith. So we've talked so much about the Edmonton Oilers, their inability to get the first goal, and now you got a fluky one. Smith trying to settle himself in. Nylander did a good job on the initial play, followed it up when Kerfoot turned the puck over from Draisaitl, and on the third shot of the game, like so often has happened, the Oilers find themselves down by 1.
Oh, wait for the official. Looks like Nylander's 16th came into the game just under a 40-goal pace. And for the Oilers, another early first goal as well. It's the 5th time in 7 games they've allowed a goal before the 6-minute mark. Puck in behind the Toronto net, and Brody plays it around. Evan Bouchard, the Oakville product, plays it back in where Puljujärvi is watched by Riley. Back to Bouchard at the line. Evan Bouchard, rink wide. Darnell Nurse, and he just missed. Nice pass from Bouchard, finding Nurse on the move, and now Brody looks ahead on the tape for Nylander. William Nylander, a hot hand here after 2 on Saturday. And here's a Mikheyev shot kicked away by Smith. Devon Shore across. The Oilers with an errant pass, can't break out of their own zone. Mikheyev's on it. Tried to feed back to the point. Camp gets it there for Muzzin. Walks in, across Hall, and that one deflected off his stick wide. Dropped out to center, and Muzzin backtracks in his own zone, and now Engvall gets them pointed north. Pass is broken up, and Zach Kassian back in. Kassian checked there by Muzzin. Camp across, and here's Mikheyev with Engvall. Driving the lane, and a shot. Stopped by Smith with loose change left in the blue paint, but the Oilers found it first. Devon Shore ahead. Trying to connect there with Lagesson, who has moved up. William Lagesson in the lineup in place of Tyson Barrie on the back line for Edmonton tonight. Leafs nearly get caught with too many men on the ice as Perlini fires, and it's a glove stop for Jack Campbell. So the Leafs open the scoring, 4:25 in. William Nylander now on a 7-game point streak.
Break, the welcome back tribute played on the video board for Zach Hyman, his first game back in Toronto. Empty building, but still playing along, waving to absolutely nobody. And unfortunately, unlike Saturday, no family or friends of the players were in the building for this one here tonight, so nobody from Hyman's family in the house for it, but still having some fun. Someone who became a beloved member of the Maple Leafs over his 6 seasons here, Chris.
It is too bad. First game he has played against his former team. He was out with a shoulder injury when these two teams met in Edmonton.
There's been so many spoiled moments for so many families in these last 2 years. That's a disappointing one for he and his family.
Spencer checked in the Leaf zone. Here is Sevier from an angle, and Jack Campbell makes the stop and bumps the net off in the process.
Yeah, he went hard to the post there. I think he was expecting Sevier maybe to go behind. Good forecheck though, turns the puck over right there with a good active stick off of Spezza, and now Campbell. It looked like his last minute adjustment. He started to move across like maybe there was going to be a pass, and that's not perfect technique there by Campbell, and that foot ends up knocking the post off, but he's able to squeeze the arm and make the save.
Whitewash on Saturday on New Year's Day, the first by a Maple Leaf goaltender since 1931, and really did jam the post, and we're going to need to do some repairs down there as Derek Nansen calls for some help.
Well, you think of all the questions asked of Jack Campbell. You know, this is such an oddity, and there's only times when you're injured as a goaltender do you ever have 2 games in 22 days. But for him, it's been one of focus to just try to work on your game a little bit, work on your conditioning, and like so many of these players, the little mental break maybe is a real positive one. But his time here in Toronto, 52 games he's played as a member of the Maple Leafs. 36, 10, and 5 with a .207 average. I mean, when you start to talk about a starting goaltender type numbers, that's been very impressive, and he's given this team all kinds of confidence for this season.
Number 1 in goals against average and save percentage so far this season, and at the other end, that's been an issue.
Yeah, you know, we talked about the Koskinen quote, and I think for Dave Tippett at the end of that game, another frustrating loss, another 5+ goals against, or 4 goals against, and he was responding to the early in the game problems that this team has had. And for Koskinen, yeah, I understand the frustration of your team not scoring, but you still have to score 5 goals with what he's given you. 24 goals in those 6 games he's let in, and that's a tall task to expect your team to score 5 every day.
So we're 7 minutes in here. They give Nylander the goal from Alex Kerfoot, who now has 4 assists in his last 4 periods. Bunting plays it for Matthews behind the net. He's been off the ice for a couple of days after the initial positive test. Matthews takes it up to the line and plays it into the corner. It bounces to Marner in front, and he just missed. Trying to go far side. Morgan Riley's on it. Here's Bunting from an angle. Loose in front. Marner again, and Matthews slammed that just wide. And finally, Fogle for the Oilers. From his knees, gets it out to center ice. Matthews chips it back in. Bunting will get there and take a look in behind the Oiler net. Now Matthews. Tracked by Bouchard. Mitch Marner's got it. At the line, Hall. Matthews again as Bunting parks in front. Here's Matthews' shot, and that goes off Fogel's stick and out.
Well, I mentioned earlier, you got to let someone other than Draisaitl beat you, and this is one way to deal with it and force them to play defense. This line all over the loose pucks there. Nice job of Mike Smith just taking away anything down low. Marner looked for a pass first. There wasn't one there. Rebound there in front. Marner able to get a piece of it, and this one just high wide. And that line buzzing offensively, trying to follow up and get that all-important second goal.
Kerfoot on the ice now with 20 points. That gives the Leafs 6. 20-point men in the league. There are 3 teams with 7, Vegas, Minnesota, and Colorado. Here's Zach Hyman, watched by Tavares, who knocked it off his stick, and Nylander onto this near side. Muzzin drips it right in, and a big rebound. Mike Smith has to make another stop off John Tavares.
Well, you mentioned the fact Mike Smith, just his 3rd game in over 2 months, and a lot of separation. Sometimes it's dealing with rebounds, and this is a long shot that's a dangerous place to play. You can see Darnell Nurse thought it was going to be in the corner. Instead, it came into the slot area, and a little reach there for Tavares. He tried to get quick control, get it up and over. He's frustrated with his shot, but a pretty good reaction by Smith to get a piece of it and get the face-off.
Smith made 35 stops in a 6-5 overtime loss against New Jersey in his last outing. He's faced 9 shots in the first 9 minutes here tonight.
You think you go from October 19th, though, Chris, to his first game back December 29th. I mean, it's just a long time. That's unlike at the other end when you're healthy, like Campbell, to get that kind of a 20-day break. Instead, dealing with an ankle injury that's bothered him all the way through the start of this season.
Said it's been the toughest injury he's had to deal with in his career, and that is a long and distinguished one. Tyler Benson out at center. Pass picked off by Kemp. Up for Engvall. And he'll circle back as the Leafs start to change. Rasmus Sandin was over 20 minutes in his first game in a month on Saturday. And there's Nick Ritchie back in the lineup and puts another on net that's handled by Smith.
Well, you see, Ritchie, you always look as a player, your opportunity to get back in the lineup. You wondered whether he was going to get his chance. And so this is one of those games for him that just try to make an impact any way you can. And that's a simple play there, but got to be happy of getting back into the lineup and trying to show your coach that you deserve to stay there.
Face-off win, and it's back to Sandin, who fired that knockdown in front. Thought it was interesting that in the post-game coach's press conference, Sheldon Keefe spent more time talking about Nick Ritchie than any player that played against Ottawa. First healthy stretch he's had to make on the forward unit all season long.
Now trying to create some healthy competition, but also keep guys propped up. And as we mentioned before, Ilya Mikheyev in just his 2nd game got a lot of chance and made use of it.
Here's a chance in front, scores! Brendan Perlini has tied it for the Oilers.
Well, there's a way to make an impact. Another player for Edmonton, Perlini, getting himself back in the lineup, and he does a good job of coming from way back. And so often on plays like this, you kind of get lost. Look at 42 down deep. He's the deepest guy in the zone, and now you get Sandin who gets caught. And inside track there is Perlini, and he just a quick little one-timer across your body. Nice solid flat pass, and that one up and over the shoulder. Sevier just settled to an area. Perlini beat his man, Ritchie, who we were just talking about. And there's an impact play. It couldn't be a bigger goal for the Oilers. Giving up that first goal, now being able to tie things back up.
Goal at the 10-minute mark, and the Oilers looking for production anywhere in the lineup, but a little extra special that comes from the bottom 6. And the game tied as Jake Muzzin sends it wide of the net.
And Christopher Perlini, just his 7th game in the last 21. So there's an impact that he can make on a bottom 6 that only has 10 goals coming into this game.
Draisaitl look to center it. Now bump back to the line. Ceci floats that wide of the net. Vogel after it against Justin Hall. Yamamoto steps in. Vogel dug it out, and now Draisaitl to Ceci, and a blocker stop, loose puck in front, and Draisaitl back to Keith. Oilers energized by that goal by Perlini. Now Duncan Keith, and gloved and held by Jack Campbell. So Nylander for the Leafs, but Brendan Perlini has equalized for the Oilers.
Rapid release gel caps. Well, like the Oilers on this road trip and really the entire season, giving up the first goal, something they have done 24 times in 34 games, including tonight, a lot of it early on. Part of the reason why Dave Tippett did not hold back and criticizing Mikko Koskinen's mistake early in the game on Monday. They have not won a game this season when trailing after the first period, so that Perlini goal, a big one to get things tied in the first place.
Yeah, 12 times in 13 games now. They've given up the first, but as you mentioned, the Perlini goal gets them back on even terms. Brendan Perlini's dad, a former Toronto Maple Leaf, played 8 games with the Leafs back in the 81-82 campaign. Here's Draisaitl looking for Foegele. Fogel's shot blocked by TJ Brodie. It's Yamamoto in front, scores! Leon Draisaitl, and suddenly Edmonton has the lead.
Well, there's times when you need a spark. It showed the last shift where the Matthews line was all over the Draisaitl line. Now you get a goal by Perlini. You get an offensive zone face-off, and Draisaitl's line keeps the puck alive. Twice the Leafs had a chance to get it out. Yamamoto took those extra 2 steps, and if you watch Morgan Rielly, he was thinking it was going to be an early pass. That slight delay and a couple of attack strides towards the net forces Jack Campbell to go after Yamamoto. Look at Campbell. He thought a shot was coming. Instead, there's the pass across, and now stands at 26th as Leon Draisaitl is the NHL's leading goal scorer.
And he ties Connor McDavid in the points race with his 53rd. And so the goals come a minute 12 apart. Bouchard up ahead, that skipped over the stick to Puljujarvi and rolls down towards Campbell, who fires it around. Gloved off the ledge by Kerfoot, but Edmonton back on it to Zach Hyman, trying to work out of the corner. Met there by Muzzin, and came out in front, and Campbell pounces on that.
Well, you're looking for some chemistry between Yamamoto and Draisaitl. Watch this play, though, by Yamamoto right here. Morgan Rielly thinks the pass is coming right there. He fakes it, takes 2 strides. That opens up the passing lane. It forces Campbell to respect that a shot might be coming, and there's an easy tap in. I don't even think Draisaitl got all of it. His reaction, though, he was able to get it past Campbell, who had committed to a potential shot from Yamamoto.
And Yamamoto now with 6 points in his last 6 games. Engvall taken to the boards by Lagesson. Camp knocks it loose. Slater Cuckoo fires it around. It's knocked down by Hall. Camp unable to get it past Evan Shore. Here's Cassian charging into the Leaf zone, and Shore fires it right on. Here's Shore coming up with a rebound in front, but checked by Justin Hall. But suddenly it's the Leafs on their heels. Checked by Cassian, and he'll send it to an open wing. Muzzin for Camp. And now to the speedy Mikheyev, working back in. Fired that, and it's gloved and held by Smith.
It's game time. Order all your favorites with Skip the Dishes. Let's get hungry.
Last game of a 5-game post-Christmas trip, and you're looking for a spark. And, you know, the fact that Dave Tippett was able to get this team going back, he's been under all kinds of pressure, so much talk, but that's the kind of reaction that you hope your team will get when you give up that first goal.
Spezza wins the draw. Rasmus Sandin fires, and there's a glove stop by Smith.
That's good tracking across by Smith. All Sandin's looking there is not to score on this shot, but get the lane open, a little slide to his left, a quick little wrister, trying to get the deflection from either Ritchie or Simmons. But there's Smith able to hold on and get the face off, and now Draisaitl comes out to try to win a draw.
And he does for the Oilers. Sevier off the boards. Kept alive by Simmons, and Duncan Keith now with the aerial that ends up in the Oiler bench.
Well, Draisaitl just continues to move along, and you know the fact that McDavid not here, you know that the responsibility comes. We saw him jump out there for the face-off. That's something that he's going to continually do, and the task now for the Toronto Maple Leafs is just try to make the minutes hard. You know he's going to play over 22 or 23 minutes, so don't make it easy on him.
Matthews wins the draw away from Draisaitl. But the Oilers able to clear, and TJ Brodie back in his own zone. Up ahead for Matthews, bumped by CC, and here comes Fogle, who played at St. Andrews College in Aurora. Draisaitl sends it to the corner. Brodie is there. Checked by Yamamoto. Puck loose for Morgan Rielly, but good work by Fogle to take it away from him. And now fed back to the line for CC and across to Duncan Keith. Oilers back in the Leaf zone, and here's CC sending it. That looked like it hit Fogle in front and didn't get to the net. CC throws it across. Marner with a shoulder check, and now will dish it off to the back line and head to the bench on a change. Alex Kerfoot steers it in, and from his own side of the red line, it's an icing call. Well, the Boston Celtics go toe-to-toe with the New York Knicks. Tune in tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Now. Games change here.
You look at momentum, and again, this is just 2 games in 22 days for the Leafs. They need to respond here as they've been back on their heels as Edmonton's been winning those little puck battles and keeping the momentum in the offensive zone.
Colton Sevier deflects it back in. Tavares to the near side. Kerfoot looking for it. Bouchard has moved up for Edmonton. Kyle Turris, Perlini, and Sevier trying to hem the Leafs in their own zone. And that one set the length of the ice. And it will be an icing call against Toronto.
Well, one of the real challenges for Edmonton during this stretch is they've just been playing from behind. You're chasing your tail all the time. The hot start that they had is they jumped out to those leads. 10-0 when they score first. You mentioned that before, Chris, but it's hard to play the game when you're chasing it all the time. Looked like they were going to be chasing this one, and now they've been able to wrestle it back.
Able to flip the script here in the first period with just under 5.5 minutes remaining. Nylander on the ice for Toronto along with Kerfoot and Tavares. It'll be kept in by McLeod and swung around as Slater Cuckoo moves up and got there just ahead of Morgan Rielly. Now Brodie checked by McLeod, and the Leafs can't seem to beat this forecheck for the last few minutes. Rielly now ahead in center for Tavares and Kerfoot. Sent down into the Oilers zone, and a change underway for Toronto as Engvall comes out and knocks it off the stick of McLeod. Slater's Cuckoo around, and that one deflecting to Mikheyev, who lost the handle, and Tyler Benson up for Cassian on the move, trying to barge in, and got a shot on Campbell. Cassian looking for his first goal in 11 games. Now Mikheyev after it. Cody Ceci, the former Leafs, got it. Camp trying to take it away. Engvall on it. And out Camp to Mikheyev. Duncan Keith tracking Ilya Mikheyev with a short-handed goal and a power play marker. First Leaf to do that since 2002 in the same game. Alexander McGillney, the last Leaf, with a 2-goal game, including a short-handed goal and a goal on the power play. Now Dermott, a quick lead feed for Bunting, who was checked quickly just inside the line. Dermott again, and now up ahead it goes for Marner. Trying to dash in is hit by Keith. They'll go to work along the end boards, and Draisaitl able to move it ahead for Fogle. Fogle watched by a pitching Travis Dermott.
Yeah, this last 3 shifts, the Leafs have really activated their D, coming down deep and really trying to keep the play alive by pinching all the way down to the hash mark.
Here comes Yamamoto again, fanned on the shot. And he fell in the corner, but gets up with a puck. Yamamoto without a shot on goal in 9 of the last 12 games. Bouchard sends it to the net, knocked down in front. On it is Fogle. Back to Evan Bouchard. The former Oakville Ranger to Draisaitl, and play is stopped. just under 3 minutes left in this opening period. Leon Draisaitl, the go-ahead goal for Edmonton.
There you go, Wes. Good, buddy. How you doing? Get the crowd into it early. I'm gonna get this. Off
Way straight in?
No, oh, yeah, off the wall, straight in, like a bound gap. Well, I was lucky. Good job, boys. That'd be boys. Come on, Jess. There you go, Connor. Let's go. That'd be Lee. That'd be him. Good job, Bogey. You got a battle.
We'll be eavesdropping on Zach Hyman and Mitch Marner throughout the night. Dave Tippett mentioning earlier this week how Hyman touches so many parts of the game from a coaching standpoint.
With no fans in here, you really do get a sense. You probably pick it up more at home. You definitely do here in the arena, just how much conversation there is on the ice. It's really your extra set of eyes in the back of your head, having your teammates calling for the pucks, communicating with each other. Things happen so quickly down there that you need that little extra banter to give yourself that extra second of time to make a decision with the puck.
Fans always miss, but particularly on a night like this, you know how much anticipated this visit by the Oilers was here. Deflected off the stick of Simmons, but again from center, Simmons appealing that it shouldn't be icing, and they're going to change it now and face off at center.
You know, that last little move by Mike Smith is what did it there. And a good heads-up play by Derek Nansen. He's the linesman who was making the call, and right as he whistled it, Smith thought it wasn't going to be icing, so he went to play it. Look at right there, Smith goes out. So even though Derek blew the whistle, he immediately pointed to center ice and said, no, you can make the change and we'll start fresh in the middle of the ice.
Line that scored the first goal for Edmonton back out, centered by Colton Sevier, along with the goal scorer Perlini and Kyle Turris, who got an assist on the play out against the Matthews line. Sevier scored in the first meeting against Toronto. TJ Brody in behind the net, and Sevier leans on Matthews, puck loose for Bunting. Now Marner flips it wide of the net. There's Morgan Riley, centers. Bunting unable to come up with that, and Turris back down into the leak zone, drops off for Perlini. Here's Perlini on the backhand, and he sent that wide, and away goes Bunting. Leafs trying to make it an odd man rush. Bunting drops, Marner, Bunting, and stopped by Smith. On that little give and go in the Oilers zone.
You know, pretty good play coming back as it 3-on-2 got 3-on-1 came a 3-on-2 pretty quickly, and the one guy you want to try to take away is Matthews, which he pretty much was from Marner, and Marner goes back to Bunting at a tough angle. Smith did a good job of closing the gap.
Justin Hall down the boards, but Fogle up with it for Edmonton. Checked by Nylander, but the Oilers get it out, and now Kerfoot for Hall, and it's just back into Edmonton ice. Always fun to watch Mike Smith play the puck. That one, though, deflected off an Oiler, and the Leafs able to hold the zone. Cody Ceci on it now, and up ahead it goes to Draisaitl. Yamamoto. Back to Leon Draisaitl in the final minute of this opening period. Fogel's got it, and head up off Tavares' stick and out.
Well, the one thing you can't do on a chance is miss the net wide, because the puck's coming right back the other way, and there's the shot by Perlini. Now a quick little 3-1-1, but Darnell Nurse does a nice job coming back, and look, he just shadows Austin Matthews and says, okay, to his goaltender, all you have to worry about is Marner and Bunting, and that's exactly all Smith had to do. That's a smart choice, coming back to the middle, taking away the cross-ice pass to Matthews, and allowed his goaltender to accept the shot.
From the draw, Sandin quickly ahead to Mikheyev, and Engvall with David Camp off his skate, and Smith with a tough stop in tight against Mikheyev.
You know, tough shot and tough save. This is a bouncing puck, a little broken pass, but there's what Toronto's trying to get, that quick little exit from the zone, but it's a bouncer that Smith just tries to get it as big as he can and make sure nothing gets through him. This one almost went under the arm, but you can see Smith getting those elbows into the body and making sure nothing was able to slip through.
Ilya Mikheyev has come out firing, and this his third game of the year. He had 7 shots Saturday, and that's his 4th shot of this first period tonight.
Well, that's another one for Sheldon Keefe. You're just trying to get back into the mix. Such a difficult time with injuries. He's had the wrist injury, and then he had the hand injury to start this year. But I thought Saturday he was probably the most impactful player coming back into the lineup as he used his feet to create all kinds of chances.
Face-off win by Edmonton, but they'll have to do it again on an icing call with a half-minute left here in the opening period.
You saw all the stats for the Edmonton Oilers, and first period is key. If you lead in the first, they're 10-0, and they hadn't won when they're behind in the first. So this last 30 seconds pretty important for, more than anything, Chris, the psyche of a team that's been kind of fragile, and this has been a pretty good response after getting down early again.
And Sheldon Keefe loads it up with Matthews, Nylander, and Marner to finish the period.
Well, for Nylander, again, a 7-game scoring streak.
And the Leafs have the puck and score! TJ Brodie the shot, and looked like Marner with the tip.
You know,
the Oilers don't get out of the period.
This is all on TJ Brodie. This is a shot that is not shot to score. This is a shot that's off of the net. Watch Brodie. He knows that he's probably not going to win this battle one-on-one. He goes to the traffic, and take your pick. Marner's in there. Darnell Nurse is in there. This is a clear attempt to just get to where the traffic is. Smith can't get across and get square to that one, and it gets off the deflection. What a smart play by Brodie, who's had a couple of great games coming here. Goes off of the stick of Bouchard and off of the skate of Mitch Marner and in the back of the net. Go to the tough areas, good things happen, and there's the double deflection that finds its way in.
So there's Marner. It's his first in 6. And the Leafs get back on even terms. And TJ Brodie, who had his first multi-point game as a Leaf on Saturday, has another point here. He scored a goal against the Oilers back in December in Edmonton. As the clock drains on the opening period, and they'll head to the dressing rooms tied at 2. It is Marner's 7th from Brodie and Matthews at 19:34. So 2-2 with 1 done. Carolyn Cameron and the panel when we come back.
Go, Matt! Woo! I was waiting on changing, then it came up high to you, so then I swung it. I don't think I scored.
Rhodes!
I have one Rhodes.
52!
I don't know.
Well, a couple of strange goals for the Leafs, and good to have Mitch Marner mic'd up so we could determine whether or not he touched that puck. It's TJ Brodie's goal.
Yeah, there's off the stick of Bouchard, off the leg of Nurse, and so if you're Mike Smith, you know, you're trying to dig yourself and your team out of a difficult hole. There's a lot of things at times you can maybe feel sorry for yourself, but that's one that he's got the experience to just shake that off. 2 own goals, and now you just got to get back to playing and turn things around. Overall, pretty good, solid road series for a team that has been struggling to win games.
Just a stretch, though, where Murphy's Law still apparently is in effect. Here's Nurse drifting it high of the net. That one put wide of the goal. So the goal goes to TJ Brodie, who has scored in 3 consecutive games for the Leafs. In this, his 50th game ever against his old Alberta rivals. When he was a Calgary Flame 2 years ago, he scored in 3 consecutive games. But suddenly an outburst offensively for a guy that had been handling the defensive job, but really not a factor offensively.
Well, he's known for a good stick, but not for scoring. A good stick defensively, but you know, you got to take advantage of it. He's played some great hockey in these 2 games back.
And funny hearing Matthews giving them the gears about being hot. And speaking of hot, there's William Nylander, who now is the Leafs' leading scorer. He has 2 points in the game, 35 on the season. So he edges ahead of Austin Matthews and John Tavares, and deflects that one, or did not deflect it, so it is an icing call as it missed the stick of William Nylander.
Well, Nylander, you said his hot streak. You kind of expect that, but for TJ Brodie, it's just 3 consecutive games and just getting the puck on net. He had the little wraparound against Ottawa on Saturday, and this one, I just thought a brilliant play. He knows he's not going to beat Mike Smith with a one-on-one shot there, so goes to the traffic and gets the deflection to tie this game up at 2.
And led by TJ Brodie's offense, the Leafs blue line now has scored 5 goals in the last 3 games. They only have 10 for the season. Hall lost his stick. Muzzin trying to help out. It comes to Cassian. Back to the line for Slater Cuckoo. And that shot up high is gloved by Campbell.
Well, you see Cassian trying to get himself back in the mix after missing a bunch of games. And you heard Anthony talk about Perlini getting a goal. You're at an opportunity now, if you're a player getting back into the lineup, to try to stay there. And for Perlini, go back to 2018, he had 17 goals in Arizona. And as Anthony mentioned, a healthy scratch. Now you got a need for a player to come in, and he's had a good start to this game and an opportunity to try to find himself an everyday place in the lineup.
Here's Kyle Turris trying to give it back to Perlini. Offside at the call. I mentioned that Brendan's dad, Fred, was briefly a Leaf, Toronto Marlborough, there with the St. Catharines Saints, the farm club at the time. He played with Daryl Sittler, Boreas Salming. Bruce Boudreau was another guy that Fred went up and down from St. Catharines with. But I wanted to mention, if you want to have fun, check out his hockey DB. He tore up the British League. He had Connor McDavid numbers and even better there. 3 times over 100 goals in a season in the British League. Turris now back to Brendan, who has a goal here and charges it again and unable to tuck it past Campbell. But he's had a couple of dangerous dashes. The only Oiler with more than 1 shot in the opening period. And now back in comes Sevier, watched by Dermott as they go to the boards. A reverse hit by Sandin on Perlini to move it ahead. And Ilya Mikheyev curls back under the checking of Yamamoto. Dermott rink wide, slipped past Simmons. Spezza skates onto it, tried to return it to Simmons. And now bumped ahead for Draisaitl onto the left side, Fogle. Draisaitl sends it deep, Yamamoto behind the net. Knocked away there by Spezza. Nick Ritchie on it.
There's a 4th line shift for the Leafs going up against Draisaitl, and they don't seem to be trying to make a quick change. There's all of a sudden Spezza, the veteran of the group, he realized what the matchup was and made the change immediately to allow the Matthews line to get out.
Brodie ahead. That pass missed Simmons, but Matthews takes charge. Here's Matthews trying to get to the net. Darnell Nurse denies the shot. It's back to Hall. Fires loose puck in front. And knocked away from Matthews as Nurse found that first. Here's Marner. Marner for Hall. Justin Hall in deep. Turns back and gives himself some room. Jake Muzzin fires it. That hit a skeet and bounces away, and Draisaitl's on it. And he'll steer it down and start the oil change here just past the 4-minute mark of the second period. Marner with it, and now up to Matthews. Sidesteps one, fires, and he drifts that just wide of the net. He's had a couple of looks in the last few games where he's just missed, and of course, coming off a prolonged absence. And a shot right on Jack Campbell.
Well, a couple chances at both ends. We mentioned the speed of Perlini. Once he realized he had the outside edge, he gets around Camp, tries to drive it to the net, and pretty good job of Dermott at least disrupting him, not allowing to keep control as he went down. And good puck battles down low. You can see the quick stick by Marner turn the puck over, and good box out in front. No chance at all for the rebound as Nurse able to clear that away.
Henson puts it on, and That's reeled back in by Campbell for another faceoff in the Leaf zone.
Well, you saw Tyler Benson, another player who's getting his chance, still looking for his first career goal. Had a great assist, though, in New York on the lone goal there in that game.
Plays with some bite, so does Zach Cassian, who is on the ice right now for Edmonton. Nylander back into the Oilers zone. Devin Shore surrounded by a couple of Leafs, but able to work it loose for Ceci. Up to the line and out, and here is Benson with it. Takes a hit along the boards, but stays with it. Shore unable to team that puck, and it's sent back down into the Oilers zone.
There's another chance there. Tavares trying to hit Nylander. We've seen that numerous times in the last few games, getting him on the quick transition.
There's Ajax product. Shore trying to play it for Benson. A centering pass, and Cassian after it in the corner. Cycles it back for Benson, spun around, and a penalty coming up against David Camp. That will be the first power play of the night.
Yeah, it's Camp who's going to go, get him wrapped up down low, but we haven't seen a whole lot of physical play in this game, and you wouldn't necessarily expect it to come from Rasmus Sandin. He does a good job of attacking there, and this is almost a stop-up hit as Tavares was going for the puck, ended up taking the body. And for Benson there, felt the stick around the middle of the body, turned around, and Camp, who's a key penalty killer for the Leafs, ends up going off for 2.
This power play brought to you by Kit Kat Chunky, made for hunger. And the #1 power play in the league goes to work. 29 in the face-off circle, 29 power play goals for the Oilers. But they have not been busy of late. Just their 5th power play opportunity in the last 5 games. Draisaitl wins the draw. A lot of firepower missing on this power play, but a chance early for Draisaitl. And now the puck sent back into the Edmonton zone, so no McDavid, no Nugent Hopkins, and no Tyson Barrie, so that's 45 power play points missing from this group tonight. Here's Draisaitl swinging in. Got bumped there by Hall. Played to the line. Kerfoot with a hit and a hand pass. Stop play.
No, the one guy you have to focus on then, of course, is Draisaitl. And this is another example. The puck is bouncing. A good job of Marner knocking it out of midair, but Draisaitl also gets it out of midair as well. And Campbell forced to make a pretty solid toe save there, as Draisaitl able to get just enough of that to make it dangerous.
Draisaitl, the league leader with 13 power play goals. He has scored 60 power play goals in the last 3.5 seasons.
Well, he's one of 29 players in NHL history to score 13 or more in 4 straight years, and he's always a target there for the one-timer on that right side.
Oilers back in. Hyman watched by Hall. Mikheyev on it. An outlet out of the reach of Muzzin. Turris sends it around. It skipped past Draisaitl and out.
Chris, the guy who has the record is a lot like Draisaitl. Phil Esposito, 11 straight seasons with that, and you just always knew where the puck was going to be funneled across to is Big Espo.
Same kind of body type and posture. Here's Draisaitl across. The shot, and it was kicked away by Campbell with Pugliarvi on the doorstep. Final couple dozen seconds of this first power play of the night. By the way, it's the first time in 7 games that the Oilers have had the opening power play. And a pass picked off by Marner. Ahead it goes to Kerfoot. 2 shots on the power play, and Kerfoot works his way in. Morgan Riley. And that shot kicked away by Smith as Camp has headed to the Leaf bench, and Toronto back at full strength.
That's 9 for 9 now for the Maple Leafs penalty kill. After going through a little bit of a rough spot, they had 5 straight games where they allowed a power play goal against, but they've been back on track, and it's been something that's really driven them all season long.
Now a turnover, and Tavares is in. John Tavares whipped it wide. Around to the far side. Cassian bumped by Sandin as the Leafs keep it in. Now Tavares is on it. Loose in front, and an extra pass, and It didn't get to Tavares with Smith sprawled. Duncan Keith off the stick of Matthews, and here's McLeod lifting it down into the Leaf zone. Edmonton changing as Sandin up for Dermott through center. Onto the right wing for Nylander. Nylander, great move to the inside, and nearly turnstile Lagesson.
I don't think Nylander's got a little confidence right now in the middle of an incredible streak that he's got going.
Wayne Simmons trying to get it to Spezza. Continues to battle for it, but Lagesson takes it away and gets to the red line and in for the Oilers. Here's Hyman along the boards. Now Nick Ritchie with a outlet, and it goes to Lagesson at the line. He's shot loose in front, and Simmons there to claim it first. Wayne Simmons out. Simmons playing at game number 978. Back the other way comes Benson, the former Vancouver Giant, looking for Shore. Simmons is on it. Lofts it in, and there's Ritchie. Back for Spezza. Centering pass for Riley. That doesn't work, and away goes Draisaitl. Morgan Riley up onto the right wing for Engvall. Sends it in, and Evan Bouchard there to steer it to Fogle. And he'll play it back down into the Leaf zone as we hit the 10-minute mark of the second period. Darnell Nurse, the former Sioux Greyhound, along with Evan Bouchard, sends it right in on Campbell. There's Brody for Kemp. Shots are 17-15 Maple Leafs. Ilya Mikheyev over the line. Engvall checked on the play by Fogle. It'll come to Mikheyev. Engvall taking it away from Nurse. Tavares is in front. Sandin across. Dermott sending it on goal. Smith able to move that rebound past a couple of Leafs in front. Warren Fogle down the left wing, and he'll just bounce it down deep as teammates change in behind him.
That was a big change for Nurse. That was about a minute 40 there as he got trapped in the zone.
Nylander in, checked by Keith as it comes back out to center. Perlini was poaching at the Leaf line. After it is Sevier. And now Kerfoot up ahead. It comes out to center. Over 5 minutes without a whistle as we play a little straight time here in Toronto. There's a nice steal by Sevier in front, and Perlini's shot goes wide with Dermott's stick flying in the air. Back to the line for Cuckoo. His shot missed the target. Lagesson steps up. Here's Matthews ahead. Kerfoot's at center. Tries to give it back to Matthews. Swings it to Kerfoot. Tavares was out there, but heads off on a change. Matthews lost it to Lagesson. Jake Muzzin moves up. In behind the net is Marner. Back to Muzzin in deep. Marner for Matthews. And across. Bunting couldn't take that cleanly. Centered again for Matthews. Bunting knocked down. Matthews again, penalty pending, and that shot is blocked. Seaver in the lane, extra attacker out, Austin Matthews. That one blocked by Lagesson. Leafs extending the power play advantage, 6 Skeeters to 5. Looking for their first power play, and Nylander sent it high. He's the extra man out there, and the Leafs continue with possession. Here's a play for Bunting. Nylander to Hall. Matthews wants it. Austin Matthews back to Hall. One-timer. And a hot rebound off the end boards, and Smith's on that. And finally, a whistle, and the Oiler penalty about to be assessed.
Yeah, good attack in the offensive zone creates problems. Turst's been out there a minute 50 seconds, and here in the battle in front, you can see Cuckoo forgetting about the puck. He takes the penalty on Bunting, then a couple of good chances, quick passing plays. You got to block a shot to make a play, and there Lagesson does an excellent job of stopping that one.
First power play of the night for Toronto as Mitch Marner looks to bump an unusual slump.
This is one of those stats that you really just can't believe. You know, Marner's known obviously as a passer, didn't have any power play goals last year, obviously, with 98 games. That's an incredible amount of power play time, 50 shots, and here for the first one of tonight's game, maybe he can break that.
Power play brought to you by Kit Kat Chunky, made for hunger. Leafs have scored in 7 straight on the power play. Nylander, Marner, Riley, Matthews, and Tavares. A unit out and a centering pass. Hopped over the stick of Marner, knocked down by Draisaitl. Tavares trying to get it back, up against Cody Ceci. And loose now. Ceci back on it. Duncan Keith. And he'll play it to the line and out.
Oh, smart play by Riley there. If he stayed back, that would have been a 2-on-1.
Hyman up with it, and a pass in front for Draisaitl, and the first good chance goes to Edmonton shorthanded.
You know, it's a split-second decision there, but for Morgan Riley in the neutral zone, he went and at least pressured Draisaitl first, then went hard at Hyman, and this is just a little tip there that Draisaitl's doing a flyby, and smart thing for Campbell just to settle down and regroup here. And the second unit, which scored on Saturday, gets an opportunity to come out.
Leafs number 2 in the league in power play percentage at 29.7. Rasmus Sandin, and now Mikheyev to Spezza. Ilya Mikheyev had the power play goal when the Leafs went 1 for 6 on Saturday night. The puck bouncing into the slot. Bunting unable to come up with it, but Mikheyev finds it. Now back up top for Sandin. Ilya Mikheyev misplayed the pass, and now out of the reach of Sandin, they'll have to re-rack at center.
Well, smart play by Sevier as he saw Mikheyev bobble that pass, and so instead of allowing him the time, he pressured and forced the turnover.
Leafs back in, but Spezza pulled it out and then played it back in offside.
Well, another struggling part for the Edmonton Oilers. You know, you get into a little bit of a slump, and typically, okay, your power play's been studdling along a little bit, and then penalty killing. They've allowed a power play goal in 4 straight and only at 69, and it just always seems when one part goes, maybe another does as well. So this is an important kill here for Edmonton.
Here's a chance for Marner right in! And, oh, it's being waved off. The horn sound, but play's going to continue here. Off the post, but not in. They'll be checking that to make sure, but it was a definitive wave off by the most definitive of officials.
Well, you know he's mic'd up, so we'll hear something later. But yeah, no question about that. Wes is a trigger finger. Smith just trying to track Marner as he goes to the backhand and clearly off the back. I thought he might have been able to knock it in on himself, but great job of coming back to the front. Marner, the backhand forehand, beats the goaltender, but unable to get it past, and then it's Yamamoto there to clear it away from harm's way.
So 13 seconds remaining, a post, but no shots for the Leafs on this initial power play of the night. They win a face-off, and Matthews has it, and off Smith and up onto the netting as they get a good look off that face-off win.
And you know, this double clutch by Matthews makes it an even more difficult save for Smith. What a job by Matthews reaching for it. Can't shoot first, has to get it back in, and that's a little bit of a delay as Smith was expecting the shot early. The quick little adjustment. You see the quick hands by Matthews to be able to pull that one in and make a great shot.
Another face-off win by Tavares. And a pass for Tavares in front, bounces past him, penalty over, Cuckoo back on the ice, but the pressure continues on here. Morgan Riley at the line, sends it for Tavares, tried to redirect that in front. Matthews back to Brody, and Marner sent it across in behind Riley, who had cut in, and now Edmonton will take charge. Under 5 minutes remaining here in the second period. The game remains tied, all the scoring done in the first. That one over the stick of first Smith, and then Engvall him all the way back to the Leaf line. Justin Hall right in on Smith, gloves it down quickly, trying to spin Puljujarvi, and ends up on the stick of the other goaltender. Jack Campbell turned over here. McLeod's in. Campbell, oh, a backstroke, and Puljujarvi couldn't beat Campbell, who was down with his back turned. Oh, the Oilers with a great chance to take the lead. Ceci flips it back in. Ryan McLeod had Campbell down and out.
Almost thought he was making a pass. Yeah.
There's another chance. Turris sends it wide of the target.
That's one you'd love to have back. He made that quick move and thought maybe Campbell was going to follow him across and tried to cross crease pass it back, and Campbell just in desperation was down and out. That was an open net.
Sandin moves the puck quickly. Dermott out at center. Off the skate of Spezza. Now he'll steer it down into the Edmonton zone. Smith plays it for Lagesson. Ritchie had him lined up. Here's Nick Ritchie for Simmons. He'll wind and fire, and a block there by Cuckoo. Nick Ritchie, a former Peterborough Pete and a teammate of Slater Cuckoo back in junior. They're both on the ice against each other here as the puck comes to the line and out. Now up off Spezza, Simmons charging back in. Try to one-hand a pass, and Ritchie takes a run at Lagesson. Brody up onto the right side. That's Morgan Riley trying to charge in. Benson plays it back to Lagesson. Around it goes to center, and Riley intercepts. 2.5 left in the second. Nylander, who has a goal and an assist, back out there. The other goal scorer for Toronto, TJ Brody. And here's Nylander attacking, and the glove stop on the short side for Smith.
Well, turnover almost turned this game around as McLeod still can't believe it. Good pressure here off of a clean play, and Muzzin throws it to nobody. McLeod in all alone, and he makes the pass. He's looking back door to try to get it on the tape of Zach Hyman. Instead, the wide open net stays that way, and it's a 2-2 hockey game.
William Nylander on pace for a career year. Sheldon Keefe saying he's someone who wants to be pushed. The coach trying to help shrink the gap between the nights he's on his game versus when he's not. And consistency is the focal point for the player, as well as he touched on in our pregame conversation. John Tavares pointing out Nylander wants to take more of a leadership role this year. Time to take ownership of the things and be involved in a lot more as part of the group. And another multi-point night for number 88 tonight, Chris.
It's his 11th multi-point night, and you talk about leadership. Again, he is the Maple Leafs' leading scorer at this point in the season with a pair of points tonight. And now a pair of points away from a milestone at 298 career NHL points.
Well, what you're looking for is consistency, and that's on both ends. The defensive part is what Sheldon Keefe talks about, but offensively, he's got points in 11 of the last 12. And what I really like about his game right now is his legs. He's moving his legs. He's got speed to his game. He's got a really good active stick. And that active stick can be on the defensive side, but as we've seen already, turning pucks over in the offensive zone, keeping plays alive, and he's been able to develop a one shot that can beat a goaltender too. It's hard to imagine that his 31 career high goals isn't going to be beat this year.
Leafs win another face-off. Marner across, and Muzzin couldn't take that cleanly. Gives it back to Marner off his stick to Hall. Bunting watched behind the net by Bouchard, and Matthews from Marner. That doesn't work, and flipped away, and away goes Shore. Here's Devin Shore in, and he overskates the puck. Quickly fed ahead, and Bunting was in behind there, but couldn't take it cleanly, and offside's called.
JackpotCity.net. Casino games perfectly made for you.
Chris, Devon Shore was just gassed there. He had been over a minute in the defensive zone chasing around the Matthews line, and all of a sudden got himself maybe a chance to make something happen. Wisely just got the puck in and was able to make the change.
Now Kyler Yamamoto chases it down in the Leaf zone. Out along with Fogle and Leon Draisaitl right on, and Jack Campbell at the top of the crease makes the save with 72 seconds remaining here in the second period.
Good. Yeah, buddy. You got another one on the way? Congrats, buddy. Nice play, Sandy. Gotta skate. Oh, quick jump, Mitchie, come on. No, drive. No, wait. Here you go, 30 try. Slide, boys.
Like the fact you can check up on old teammates and some family issues even in the heat of battle. We've got Zach Hyman and Mitch Marner mic'd up tonight, and here is William Nylander, and Smith got a piece of that. As Nylander dashed in home free, and the Leafs almost come up with another final minute of the period goal. Scored with under a half minute to go in the first period to tie the game. Played in behind for Tavares, looking to center. Nylander was loose, puck didn't arrive. Now Justin Hall in deep, backed up by Kerfoot. He'll play it across. Matthews off the bench, and blockered by Smith. Austin Matthews has it again. Justin Hall, under 30 seconds to go in the period. Muzzin for Tavares, for Matthews. He is checked, and Yamamoto will start back for the Oilers. Working against TJ Brody. Marner steering it ahead. Riley on the quick counter attempt, but the Oilers come back, and McLeod gonna let this clock run out in the second period with no further scoring done. So it was 2-2 after one. We're through two, and the game remains tied. Close call for Mitch Marner. Our second intermission with Carolyn Cameron coming right up.
Percentage from different areas of the ice from last season. Actually had a really great year last year, but as Craig has mentioned, he has struggled to stay healthy this season. So much talk of late of the Oilers goaltending. Dave Tippett opts to go with Smith here tonight. The two have a long history together that spans over 3 organizations. Yes, he did give up the one early, but he has been solid since. 20 saves on 22 shots. He has given Edmonton a chance. Chris?
And Kyle, the one early has now been credited to John Tavares. Doesn't change the fact that both Leaf goals really own goals off Edmonton Oilers.
You can see just a little tip off the side of the leg there of Tavares as he's standing and being the one. Maybe that did have an effect of it not getting through to Smith. It ends up in the back of the net. So the 2 own goals have really been the reason that this is a tie game. And, you know, so much talk about the Oilers and their struggles, and for Dave Tippett, all the fire that he's been under. He's got to be happy with the way his team has responded and the way they've battled hard in this game.
And good goaltending tonight from the Verona, Ontario native, Mike Smith. So the final full period for Edmonton on this 5-game road trip as they look to salvage one win in the final period for the Maple Leafs before heading out onto the road, trying to embark on a road trip to the Southwest on a winning note. Leon Draisaitl's played more minutes than anybody else so far, just over 16 minutes through the first 2 periods. Leafs top minute man has been Justin Hall tonight at 15 and a half. Here's Marner moving in. Puts on the brakes against Darnell Nurse. Tavares has arrived. Bunting was going to head off, but stays on the puck. Draisaitl dropped his stick. And there is Justin Hall along with Jake Muzzin in front, and redirected by Bunting off target. Back to Muzzin at the line. Now Nylander, who has 2 assists in the game, in front, and he rolled that just wide. Looking to get back in the goal column. He's got it up high. looks for Muzzin. That bounced off the stick of Yamamoto. And that one in the air. Smith had trouble tracking it. Still loose. Another shot. And Nylander fired that wide. Tavares knocked down at the side of the net. Was looking for a call. The Leafs maintain, well, at least for the moment they had possession. It comes out and Kerfoot touches that. Offside is called. A quick start to the third for Toronto.
Well, what a start it was, and you end up with 2 lines worth of chances here as the Leafs started with the Matthews line. They get a chance with Bunting in front. Now it comes to the Tavares line. Nylander unable to finish that one off. Muzzin just trying to throw this one to the net, and look at the deflection. Another almost own goal as it goes off the knee of Nurse and the head of Mike Smith.
Duncan Keith for Puljujarvi onto the left side. A chance for Ryan McLeod late in that second period. The former Mississauga Steelhead. Now it's Engvall trying to ward off a check as he turns it across to the near side, and Rasmus Sandin fires it in past the stick of Smith. Engvall's on it along with Mikheyev. I haven't mentioned Andre Kasha not in the lineup, not COVID related. Strained something in the gym in a workout yesterday, so he's day-to-day for Toronto. And that one sent back to the Leaf line.
That's why we try to stay out of the gym as much as possible. Don't
a lot safer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's Engvall. In behind, there's Jason Spezza trying to get a shooting angle, but lost the puck to Devon Shore. Breaking is Cassian. Great pass. Cassian fires, and Campbell out beyond the blue to make that stop, cutting the angle on Cassian. Now it's Shore trying to center, put it through the blue paint. Cassian to the line. Here comes a Lagesson shot, and that one ends up in the glove of Jack Campbell.
So often in the defensive zone we talk about the little stick battles, and here's one that's won by Devon Shore. Does a great job of lifting the stick of Spezza, got his head up the whole way, the quick outlet pass, and just a quick shot trying to go blocker side, just got it up a little bit much so that Jack Campbell, look at his positioning outside of his blue paint, cut off the angle pretty effectively and able to stop that shot of Cassian. But that's the centerman's job down low, is to help out your D. Shore did a good job there of making the defensive play and turning it into an offensive chance.
Leafs win the draw. They have won 60% of the faceoffs tonight. Riley sends it in. There's Bunting on it. Played past Marner, and the Oilers move it ahead. Turris' pass hit the skate to Perlini, and the Leafs will turn back in. Here's Austin Matthews firing it right on. And Turris up with a rebound and clears.
There was just a route there by Bunting. He went inside, and that rebound came to the outside. Had he kept his path that he had to the net there, he might have had a tap in.
Matthews' second shot on goal tonight. He's had 3 blocked, and a couple have missed the target. Leon Draisaitl winds it up, works his way in. Following up, Yamamoto just missed. Good look for Yamamoto from the slot. Darnell Nurse gave it away, taken by Kerfoot. Pass along the boards that he ended up fielding himself, and now Nylander's in on that right flank, right on, and the rebound hit past Kerfoot and out. And now Bouchard ahead, Draisaitl a lead, fired, and that is a pad stop by Campbell, one of his best stops of the night. Kerfoot the other way, it opens up here. Alex Kerfoot and Tavares knocked that down. I think it was intended for Sandin, and Draisaitl's on it again, and he just missed. A couple of chances in rapid fire for Leon Draisaitl, and he goes to the bench in some frustration.
He's had one chance from each side, and there he just tried to outweight Campbell, make it look like he was going to pass, and tried to little quick wrister past him, but good job of Campbell getting a piece of it.
Boy, it's a little higher octane to start the third than it was in the second period. Back it comes to Sandin. He'll send it around, try to get it in behind the net, but CC there for the Oilers. Camp trying to turn back Puljujarvi. Played it off the side of the net. David Camp unable to center that. And now McLeod ahead for Hyman. Checked by Morgan Riley. Engvall back in. Trying to spin away from CC. Hyman there for Edmonton, and he'll flip it away. The past 5 minutes of the third period, the shot's now 25-20 in favor of Toronto. 8-7 Oilers in the second. Spezza put it in front. That nearly banked in off Keith. It's one of those nights. And now Spezza again. Here's a Ritchie shot right on. Rebound, and Simmons rolled it wide. Nick Ritchie plays it back to the line, and TJ Brodie trying to sift it through, unable to do so against Shore. Now Riley turns back, Leafs are changing. Matthews comes back onto the ice. Riley, and now it's Matthews moving in. Austin Matthews backhand high. Just not quite the finish we're used to seeing from a guy that's hasn't been on the ice in a couple days.
From a pretty non-event second period, you got a wide open third here as the teams have had multiple chances at both ends.
Kept in by Matthews. Marner's got it. Holding on. Matthews along the boards, look for Bunting. Lagas in there for Edmonton. Wrapped it around. Fogle jostling with Hall. Bunting trying to hold the zone, but it does come out. And Cassian plays it to the Leaf line. Up ahead, a diving play by Fogle to deflect that over the glass.
Well, everyone can take a breath now as a lot of the top two lines getting all kinds of chances. Here's the play by Marner just to throw it to an area to allow Matthews to the outside. The shot there for a rebound, but Bunting unable to get to it. Draisaitl on his off wing. Got a cell pass for a little bit. Got his head looking across and tries the quick shot. And Campbell gets just a piece of it. And on the doorstep here, Spezza throws it off of Duncan Keith, and Smith makes the save.
All new Sportsnet now. Stream over 1,000 games. Hockey Night in Canada, Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey, the Stanley Cup Playoffs, NHL Draft, and much more. Visit snnow.ca and start streaming the NHL season today. Oiler fans have to be encouraged by what they've seen from Mike Smith tonight. Game remains tied at 2 as it was at the end of the first period. Shots now 25-20 Toronto. Tavares with it, looking for Kerfoot. Fogle watches him. There's Nylander. Nylander with 2 shots on goal in the game. He's missed the net 6 times. There's a couple of helpers. That shot through. The Kerfoot on the doorstep. He retrieves the rebound, and Nylander covers the point. That went past Brodie, but played by Riley back in deep. It's Tavares centering it, skipping over the stick of Nylander and down the ice.
And there's where that line's so dangerous when they're at their best. They don't throw the puck away. They cycle very effectively. The D join in on both sides, and they keep plays alive and end up getting it to the dangerous area.
Pass hits CC at the line and back the other way. Here's Puljujärvi. A blocker stop and a big rebound, and a pass out of the reach of CC. And Puljujärvi. Ryan McLeod is there, tracked by Matthews, and a slick takeaway by Austin Matthews, and a lead feed off the stick of Bunting. Tipped by Keith, and Puljujärvi back into the lead zone. He'll drop it off. Here's Hyman. Backhand, loose in front. And rolled wide of the net with Campbell down. Zach Hyman looking for a go-ahead goal against his old team in his first meeting against his former mates. CC. Hyman across. That's out of the reach of Keith, who wasn't going to venture in. And it's Rasmus Sandin to the Oiler line. Since the change was coming and put on the brakes. Fresh troops arrive, and Camp kicked away by Smith. Back to the line, Dermott across. And here's Mikheyev, watched by Keith. Camp behind the net. Got tied up there by CC. Engvall continues on. Watch as Dermott misses the target, and Sandin moves back in. Engvall leaned on by Sevier. That shot knocked down in front of the net. Keith trying to clear it ahead, and There's Turris spinning it back into the Leaf zone, but that's an icing call and no change for Edmonton.
Well, no family and friends in the building, but almost a great moment for Hyman. Watch the patience as he freezes Sandin. As Sandin goes down, he curls it to his backhand, but a good battle by Campbell, not only for making the save, but watch Campbell knows that there's a threat for the rebound, falls across with his pad and gets some help from his D coming back in.
Face off won by Turris against Tavares. John Tavares 11-5 in the face-off circle. A hand pass halts play.
Dawn Power Wash saves you time from scrubbing dishes. Simply spray, wipe, and rinse to clean as you go.
It's been a solid period for both sides. A lot of good puck battles, a lot of good one battles in the corner, and both teams have tried to cycle the puck as effectively as they can. And boy, if you're Mike Smith, it's been one of those nights where a lot of little bounces in front of him. You mentioned the one before off of Keith's foot, so trying desperately to get the win and get settled in here is Smith, and he's had to fight a little adversity with a couple of strange deflections in front of him.
Short Benson, Cassian out against the Tavares line. Nylander knocked down as he tried to barge through. Tavares up against Lagesson. Tavares still working against that young defender, and now goes to the boards. Lagesson plays it ahead. Benson and Slater Cuckoo a lead feed. Back Cassian into the Leaf zone. Hit by Muzzin. Benson tried to center it, and that was picked off by Kerfoot. Past the midway mark of the third period. Here's Tavares taking it away from Bouchard and getting hauled down, so the Leafs will get their second power play of the night. Evan Bouchard gets the gate. So 9:48 left here in the third period, and there's the trip by the youngster on Tavares.
Well, if there was friends and family allowed in the building tonight, Zach Hyman surely would have invited Mike Velati, his old junior A coach. One piece of advice he gave him over the summer: go where you're wanted the most and where you feel the most comfortable. Now, Velati coaching in Markham, where he coaches Zach's youngest brother, Shane, with the Royals. He said he's got that same Hyman work ethic and speed on the ice, so there's still some blue and white in the Hyman family. Zach, meanwhile, now have an important penalty to kill off here with this game tied at 2, Chris.
Certainly is. Hyman out there in a penalty killing role. Bouchard in the box. 9:48 remaining in the third period, and the Leafs win the draw. Down low to Tavares. Back up top, Morgan Riley. Here's Marner sliding it through for Tavares. There's the shot, and Mike Smith denies Austin Matthews.
And Matthews trying to go short side up and over the shoulder. Is just a little bit of a delay. It's a slow developing play, and watch Tavares as he kicks down. That little hesitation there. He had to stick handle once, and Matthews not making the shot that he wanted. Got it right in the crest as Smith was able to get himself across and get square.
Both teams 0 for 1 on the power play tonight, and a clear for Duncan Keith.
Well, we were talking about streaks, and for the power play of the Maple Leafs, 7 straight games they've been able to score a power play goal.
Riley brings him back in. Nylander sends it around for Tavares. Draisaitl out there in a penalty-killing role. Morgan Riley in front, and Matthews couldn't pull the trigger. Broken up by Draisaitl, and he's away with Hyman. Here's Hyman in deep. In behind the Leaf net along with Draisaitl, and Nylander will come back and send away Matthews. Might have a step here. Here's Austin Matthews in. Riley along with him. To the far side, out of the reach of Nylander, and Marner across for Matthews as they reset. Tavares, Riley, shot, and up high. Smith's got that one.
Well, that was one where Marner was right in the high slot. He had his stick tickling the rafters. He was hoping for a pass as this rotates down the left side, down below the net. Right here, you can see Morgan Riley had his head looking at the net the whole time, was trying to wait for Nylander to get into a situation where he could tip it, but Marner, the right-handed shot, wanted a one-time shot there.
Second unit comes on, and here's McKayev firing, scores! Ilya Mikheyev, another power play goal!
Well, there's 8 straight games, and none bigger at a critical time as this game's been going back and forth. It looked like the Oilers were going to clear the zone. Cuckoo unable to get it, but look at the positioning of Smith. He's deep in his net, unable to come out and telescope to take away the angle. And how about the last couple of games for Ilya Mikheyev, up and over the sprawling Cuckoos, trying to take the bottom half of the net. Smith is deep, Smith is down, and the quick shot goes up. And that's back-to-back games, Chris, that the second power play unit has scored a big power play goal, and that gives the Toronto Maple Leafs the 3-2 lead.
Well, Mikheyev scored his first career power play goal on Saturday night, and back-to-back, and now the Leafs have scored with the man advantage in 8 consecutive games, and the Oilers have surrendered a power play goal in 5 consecutive. So Mikheyev is making a mark in late start to the season. A broken thumb in the final preseason game.
That's a shot across your body. That's not an easy one. That might have fooled Mike Smith that he was able to get as much on it. He had to pull it across his body, and a good quick wrister up and over the glove of Mike Smith.
So 3 for Mikheyev. Just 7 all of last year. And the Leafs have a 1-goal lead. Draisaitl has it taken away by Nylander, who flips it ahead. Cody Ceci gets there ahead of Kerfoot, but Kerfoot pounding the puck, trying to cause a turnover in the Edmonton zone. Veteran Duncan Keith ahead. Warren Fogle turns away from the traffic, and now Draisaitl gets it down into the Leaf zone. Ritchie gets the assist on the goal by Mikheyev at 11:25, and that puck is out of play.
Well, just his 3rd game and back in the Leaf lineup, trying to make an impact. Here was Saturday's game against the Ottawa Senators. Shorthanded, great speed inside, and able to put that one in. Power play later on, he puts it in the back of the net. So you get your one opportunity, you take advantage of it. There's the quick little wrister, and look at the positioning of Smith. As I said, wasn't able to come out and take away the angle, and that quick release makes it a 3-2 game.
3-3 for Mikheyev. That shot hit somebody in front of Jack Campbell and bounced wide of the net. Morgan Riley off the boards and out. Right down onto Smith, and up ahead neatly for Turris. Played it to the left side, but knocked away from Cassian. Here's Bunting. Back in, Austin Matthews in front, and Marner tried to give it back, but they were in too deep. And the Oilers play it away. Turris over the line, it comes back out to center. And Cuckoo in some trouble, gives it up. A centering pass, and Evan Bouchard is there. Bouchard in the box as the Leafs take the lead, trying to get it back, and Turris fired right on. Marner sends the rebound to the line, kept alive by Bouchard. Now Hyman along the boards. Back to Darnell Nurse. Hyman again, tracked by Spezza. Under 6 to go in the 3rd. At the line, Perlini sends it wide. Hot bounce off the inboards, played back in behind the net. Turris, Nurse, shooting, and Hyman looked for a tip in front. Knocked down by Spezza, sent ahead for Ritchie. Pucked along the boards by Nurse. And Hyman starts back. Curls just inside the line. Nurse venturing in. Darnell Nurse and a glove stop as Campbell vacuums it up. 5:24 to go here in the 3rd. Mikheyev, the go-ahead goal.
Well, Ilya Mikheyev really never had any power play time the last 2 seasons, but getting some opportunity here now. As Chris mentioned, his first career goal in the man advantage on Saturday. He has another one here tonight. He says he appreciates the opportunities on the power play, and he is giving Sheldon Keefe reason to give him more. His goal, the difference as it stands right now. Chris?
Well, the Leafs believed, and Billy Mikheyev believed he could be a bigger force offensively. Here's Kerfoot in off the post as Kerfoot comes close to giving the Leafs a 2-goal cushion. Evan Bouchard back the other way. Bouchard shot deflecting high. And now seeing the Mikheyev goal unassisted. The Fogle shot blocked in front by Brody. A push back by Edmonton. Here's Yamamoto. Draisaitl with 5 shots. Back to Bouchard. Glove stop. Jack Campbell.
You know, for the Oilers, after the commercial break, you got an offensive zone faceoff. You're thinking scoring chance, right? Well, instead, Draisaitl lets his centerman go side to side. Kerfoot gets behind the D, and he's in all alone. There's the sound of the goaltender's best friend. That one again underneath the glove of Smith as that quick release by Kerfoot just off the post and out.
There's a face-off win by McLeod. CC shot off the end glass. Hyman on the prowl. CC's got it fired right on. And Jack Campbell making some key stops here, denying the Oilers, at least for the moment, a tying goal. Here's McLeod looking for Hyman again. Hyman watched by Muzzin, and now it's Mikheyev stepping up and taking it away. Onto the right side for Engvall. He'll curl back against Keefe. Bunting comes on the ice, and Engvall trying to hold the zone. It ends up at the Leaf line, and Morgan Riley brings it back into Oiler ice. And got the shot away right on. 4 minutes left in the third. Brendan Perlini, one of the Oiler goal scorers, played it in on Campbell, and he won't take any chances with Kyle Turris in the vicinity.
Well, right now, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you just got to find a way to try to at least get this thing to overtime. It's so much of the negativity that's come from this road trip and this slide, just 2 wins in the last 12, and we've had a pretty solid game. Now you're just hoping to get something. This is the last 351 of your road trip. You get to go home for a bit. Just keep putting everything on net.
Done a lot of things right tonight, and maybe those bad bounces might even out before this night's done. Bouchard winds it up. Smooth skating young defenseman works his way in, trying to go all the way, and it ends up sliding to Campbell, who will cover up.
Well, one guy that really has grown this year, and I think the Oilers coming in were expecting Evan Bouchard to play a significant role, is ice time up over 21 minutes. Last year he played under 18, so he's getting more responsibility, and you could just get a sense of the confidence. I mean, there's an end-to-end rush. Okay, it doesn't end up with anything, but now you get an offensive zone face-off for Draisaitl's line to get out there.
Top defenseman in the OHL in 2019. Justin Hall's got the puck, came outside the line and played back out to center. Nylander will flick it in. John Tavares after it against Bouchard. Nylander follows up, Draisaitl's there, popped in front, comes back to Muzzin, and he'll just steer it back in deep. Tavares behind the net, fencing there with Nurse. Yamamoto an outlet, and here comes Darnell Nurse to the attack with a step, and Hall got a stick on that to deflect it out of harm's way.
Wow, what a great read by Hall. You're beat to the outside, but don't panic. And a veteran defenseman, you know that you can buy yourself some time by going back to the middle of the ice. You can see Nurse thinks he's got the clear zone. He's beaten Kerfoot, but Hall in support did a great job. Came back through the middle first and then got the stick out and didn't allow anything to get to the net.
Leafs have scored 3 in 13 straight games now. The Oilers have scored 2 or fewer in each of the last 11 and are stuck on 2 here in the late stages of this game. Need a third. Engvall back with Mikheyev. Let it fly again. Mikheyev up now to 6 shots on goal in the game. After 7 on Saturday night. Ryan McLeod to work. Trying to get through, lost the handle, and Brody plays it back to the Oiler line. Shots at 32-27. That shot over the glove and net to the Leafs. Marner ahead, and Bunting out through center. Checked there by Bouchard. Yamamoto's blind pass intercepted by Brody. Bunting on the forecheck. Back to Hall. Jake Muzzin looking for a tip was Marner, who got slashed on the glove. Looked like he felt that, and takes a look at Nurse. Muzzin back behind his net, and Mike Smith cheating out to the blue line here, and now we'll go to the bench. Extra attacker on with just over 90 seconds to go, and Cassian off the bench fired it wide. Bouchard, Nurse, back for Bouchard, through traffic, and that hit Campbell. Around for Draisaitl, popped over his stick. Far side it goes. There's a shot, and Campbell's gonna hold on to that.
That's the one shot from the outside where the traffic just gets boxed out. And one thing Toronto's trying to do is allow Campbell to not only see the shot, but more importantly the pass. And you can see he was able to see the pass, but then all the bodies in front, nothing there. This time it's just Hyman and Campbell, and that's a tough angle to try to get anything past the goaltender. That might have been a shot that you try to go off the pad, as you had Cassian right in front, and Dave Tippett takes this opportunity to get his timeout and draw up a play.
And Ken Holland's crew wrapping up a road trip here tonight, trying to get in the win column. 0-2-2.
You got two options here if you're Sheldon Keefe. You've got John Tavares having a great night, 15-6 on the face-off dot, 71%. Matthews is at 59, and I would imagine it's probably going to be Draisaitl on his strong side taking this one. He's had a tougher night, 15 losses to 12 wins for 44%.
Saw Dean Chenoweth on the Leaf bench, just out of COVID protocol himself. Tavares and Draisaitl, Oilers get control. Yamamoto challenged and gave it up, but Nylander spins it down the ice. Kerfoot trying to beat out the icing, it does. Nurse coming back to reclaim in the final minute of this third period. Up ahead for Draisaitl. In there with Hyman, hooks it back to Bouchard, firing it, pad stop, and Hyman sent the rebound wide. Up against the end boards, Fogle trying to work it loose, tied up there by Brody. And it finally comes free as Hyman got it back to the line. They get it on the stick of Draisaitl and back to Bouchard. Leon Draisaitl, Bouchard not in the wheelhouse. And now challenged by Tavares. Draisaitl gave it up, and it's played down the ice and in. And Alex Kerfoot has iced it for the Leafs.
Well, Kerfoot gives a little insurance, but the details of the game are so important. After the timeout, here's the face-off. Draisaitl wins the battle, but watch the reaction to Tavares. Pressure, you don't get any time to make a play, and this kills a good 15 to 20 seconds and forces the play to go at the other end. A one battle, this one just finds its way through Bouchard, and I think that was a cautious play by Kerfoot. He didn't want to ice it, he didn't know what to do, and he just sort of flicked that one through, and it's found the way into the back of the net.
Pretty good draw, weight to the button, and Kerfoot with his 5th point in the last 2 games. As the frustration will mount for the Oilers, a better performance tonight, but they leave empty-handed, and the Maple Leafs have won 4 straight as they beat Edmonton 4-2.
And Chris, you've got a well-rested squad with just 2 games in 22 days, gets an opportunity to go on a road trip and keep a little momentum going. They should be well rested, feeling good about their game, and Campbell just continues to roll along. You imagine you'd see Mrazek at some point during this road trip, as he hasn't really had a chance to get into games.
28 stops for Jack Campbell tonight as the Leafs prevail. 4-2 the final score, the 22nd win of the season for Toronto. So long from Scotiabank Arena. Stand by. Here comes Sportsnet Central with Ken and Ivanka.